thought I'd just go over this question in a different way, just to explore two things: the calculator a little bit more, how to draw your derivative graphs with the calculator if you want to, and also just to talk about this function a little bit more. So the function was the square root of cos x, as you can see, and we know that square roots are only defined when you're taking the square root of is positive. Okay, so in this case, because it's cos x, then cos x is only positive in the first and the fourth quadrant. If you can remember from last time, I think it was different teachers have got different ways. I always remember South Australian Tennis Club for some reason, or I don't know, or cats, but you need to stick to your own way. So here the cosine will be positive, and here's the cosine positive because it's a sig for cosine, and that's all, isn't it? That's all. Okay, so over here where the cosine is negative, you can't take the square root, and that's why we have this region shaded out in our sine diagram, as we discussed before. I also actually had a look at working out the derivatives, which I didn't do in the last video. I think I might have done that one, but the second derivative is really messy, so it really was much better to have a look at the graph. And you can see in the graph that the whole thing is positive in both of those defined regions, plus. You can see that it's decreasing and then increasing, so decreasing and then increasing, and it's concave down in both the regions, so that's why it was a minus. So yeah, we covered most of that before in the other video. What I sort of thought I'd do though is also see a way that we could draw the derivative graphs on here, if you wanted to, or if we needed to. And I discovered, well, I knew it was there, but I haven't used it for a long time. So if we go back into our graph section, there is a way of getting it to work to draw the derivative, and it's probably useful to know a few things here. So there is a catalogue of functions. You cannot remember all the functions that your calculator can do, but you can have an educated guess at what they might be, what the letter they might start with. So we go into the catalogue and we scroll down. Now I'm looking for a derivative, so maybe it's in D, and I'm pretty sure it is, so I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, look, here are the two functions I want. Well, I say two, I could just use the top one, but we'll go for this one. And we want to differentiate this function up here, so this here is what we want to press, the y, and then it's y1. Okay. Now you see there's a little box here that's empty. We're going to leave that empty. Okay. When you're using this function in the main run mode, it will work out the derivative at a certain point. It can't differentiate a function. It can't actually tell you the derivative function. It doesn't do that. But using it in the graph mode is extremely useful because it takes every point on the graph, works out the derivative, and plots it, which is exactly what we want. So if we draw that, so there you can see the derivative graph in red now, and you can see we're expecting it to be negative and then positive. So down here and then up there, and we can also see that where our square root of cosine function is stationary, that lines up with an x-intercept there, as we'd expect, and we can see this graph getting more and more and more negative, and that's what you're seeing here in the slope graph here, graph of the derivative. And again here you've got a very, very steep positive, so that's why we're coming down this way, heading towards the stationary point where the slope is equal to 0. So a really nice way of getting used to what graphs and their derivative graphs look like. So let's go for the third one. Let's exit that, and let's see if we can use the other function. So shift catalog, it's already ready there. We'll do the second. I bet you could do the derivative of the second one, but I'm not going to risk it. So I've tried that. So I'm still going to put y1 in here and then press enter. Before we draw it, what are we expecting? We're expecting a graph with with a section, a region in the negative. In fact, both of them in the negative. So let's draw. And there you go, the two green bits there in the negative there, and you can see this is a measure of how much you're curving down. Okay, right, I thought that would be pretty handy, and you'll probably find some other uses for those derivatives in the future.